As part of efforts geared towards ensuring good governance in Nigeria while protecting public interest, the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, Africmil, in partnership with the Human and Environmental Development Agenda, Heda, have charged journalists to use media platforms to advocate whistleblowing and ensure the protection of the whistleblower. Organizers of a training workshop which was held in Lagos say journalists have a responsibility in the management of whistleblowing policy in order to guarantee accountability and transparency in government. Our correspondent Simisola Adigu now reports.
The act of whistleblowing has always been touted as an effective tool in fighting corruption, but the protection of persons bold enough to disclose sensitive information often stands in the way of its full utilization. This is the reason for this training workshop organized by the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, Africmil, and the Human and Environmental Development Agenda, Heda, to sensitize journalists on the role of the media in whistleblowing to curb corrupt practices in Nigeria.
We are actually trying to train journalists who will be committed in times of encouraging the whistleblowing process in Nigeria by trying to report whistleblowing cases, trying to popularize the plights and the potential whistleblowers are actually witnessing, and also the safety of whistleblowers. So we want the journalists to be fully involved because they actually have a very important role to play in enhancing the realization of the goal and set objectives.
Part of our work actually relates to whistleblowing. When you talk of investigative journalism, sometimes it's about exposing the wrongs in the society. And as journalists, we need sources. One of the most reliable sources that we can use to expose corruption are whistleblowers. So there is a relationship between the journalists and the whistleblowers. The whistleblowers need us, but I will even say that we need them more, because through them we can get factually accurate information about acts of corruption, and in turn publish that.
Stakeholders say journalists owe it to whistleblowers the assurance of confidentiality by withholding sources of classified information. They are also charged with collaborating efforts with civic society groups in seeking justice for the whistleblower in cases of detriment.
Well, one factor obviously is the limited protection that both journalists and whistleblowers have, because we find that in a lot of situations where journalists have reported issues or stories based on anonymous sources, there's always an effort to compel them to reveal their sources of information. And sometimes those means are quite brutal. We've seen journalists being detained in an effort to get them to disclose their sources, and some of those who have been detained have alleged that they were tortured while they were held and so on. That can be a huge disincentive for journalists to continue to report on those issues. So I think that if we want more reportage of issues around whistleblowers, we also need to improve the protection of both whistleblowers and the journalists who report them.
Civil society activists and journalists themselves are the first set of whistleblowers, so their protection takes primacy. So the role that they are supposed to play, I think at this point, first of all, is to increase the level of sensitization, because when there are more people taking up the conversation, so it's not like 10, 20, some 30 person who can be easily targeted speaking. So it's now a lot of people saying the same thing, so it becomes an epidemic.
Following the launch of the whistleblowing policy by the federal government of Nigeria, recovery of looted funds has placed the EFCC, the ICPC, DSS and other security agencies on alert with available information. But the absence of specific legislative backing restricts its full use as a tool for corporate governance. Simisola Adigun, TV 360 News.